The ASHLANDS update has brought over 30 new weapons to Valheim. Today, we're going to look at all of them and review their stats. I'll show you how to craft the new magical weapons using gemstones, as well as how to get the required fragments for the Drynwyn sword. We'll also take a look at the more interesting attacks that some of the new weapons have brought to Valheim. We're going to start with the new shields, which come in these 5 different colors, and I have to say, I actually really like the look of all of them. I'm sure you guys will agree. If we look at the stats of the new shield, if we hover over this one right here, we have the Flametal shield, for example. You'll see that it has a block armor of 114 with a block force of 50. If we compare that with this one here, the Carapace shield, that has a block armor of 96 and a block force of 60. So actually a higher block force, but a lower block armor. And then we have the second new shield, and again, these look absolutely fantastic in the same 5 colors as before, and these are the tower shields. The new tower shield stats, you can see here, block armor 140 and block force 150. Comparing it to the next best thing is the black metal, which is 104 block armor, 150 block force. Now, I have spoken with the developers, and there is no plans to add a Flametal buckler to the game. So these are going to be your 2 options, Flametal shield and the tower shield. Now, the new axes, we're going to start with those in terms of weapons. This is something that has been heavily anticipated and something that people are really enjoying. And we'll have a look as to why that is in a second and see them in action. But first, let's have a look at their stats. So this is it right here, the Berserkir Axes, and as you can see, they are 2-handed. Now, we don't really have anything we can compare it to in the game currently. So if we look at the slash on this, it's at 140. If you look at, for example, like a black metal axe, that's got a slash of 100. There's also this right here, the Skull and Hattie, which is 2-handed, which has a slash of 45, but then also the pierce of 45. Now, these do come in the gem variations as well, and we'll come on to that in just a second. But first, let's just grab these out, the Berserkir Axes, and get them in our inventory. So this is what they look like. You've got an axe in each hand, which might be the most Viking looking thing Valheim has ever added. I'm sure you guys will absolutely love the look of these too, and when you use them in action, you can see here you're swinging with one hand at a time, and it's pretty cool. So Grados are one of my favorite things to kill in the game. Let's have a look at this axe in action against them. As you can see, he does quite a lot of fast damage against them. There we go, and rips through them pretty quickly. Now, these axes do also have a special attack. If we use the mouse button number 3, if we go ahead and use that, you see sort of jumps and chops with them. So pretty awesome looking animation right there. It's a little bit clearer to see it when there's actually no mobs around. If I push the middle mouse, there we go, we jump and we chop just like that. So that's how that one's used. I think it's a really cool animation and a nice little addition there to the game for these new axes. Obviously, you don't have the ability to do as much blocking, but you do have a block armor of 57 and block force of 20. So it's not like you can't block at all when you're using these. So let's see how we do against a charred marksman. You can see, there we go. We can block and we can parry against him without too many problems if we time our block correctly. And then we can go and use the axes on him, of course, and do pretty significant damage. So this is an exciting and pretty decent new weapon, and I'm sure you guys will agree. But what about the variations we have of it? You saw here there's 3 different colors, and we have 3 different names for these. We've got the Bleeding Berserkir Axes, as well as Thundering, and also the Primal. So let's actually get into gemstones and talk about how we actually make these in the first place, and then I'm going to go through the 3 different types of new attacks that have been added with the ASHLANDS update. You can combine metal weapons with 3 different gems. We have the Bloodstone, Iolite, and Jade. This will upgrade your weapons to magical weapons with either blood, storm, or nature-based effects. So how do we do this? Well, you'll first need to collect some gems. These can be found in the charred fortresses. You'll also need a Black Forge level 3 or higher. There's 2 new Black Forge upgrades, the Metal Cutter and the Gem Cutter. Once you make a Flametal weapon, you'll then be able to upgrade it. For example, I've made a Flametal Mace, so I can now make a Bludgeon, Stormstar, or Clussen. The Bloodstone upgrade makes your weapon deal more damage as your health decreases. The Iolite upgrade gives the weapon lightning damage, and the Jade upgrade gives a 15% chance to immobilize your enemy. As you can see, these gem upgrades are incredible, and it gives us huge potential for the weapon system in the future of Valheim. Next up, we have the new bow in the game, or I should say bows, because the new bow is the Ash Fang, and it also comes in these 3 variations with the Blood Fang, the Storm Fang, and also the Root Fang. So let's grab that out. We're going to equip that. I'll show you it in action. And we do also have the new charred arrows. You see there they have a pierce of 82 with a knockback of 15. The current best arrows before that have a pierce of 72 and 15. That's the Carapace arrows. So let's grab out these new arrows as well, and we'll see this new bow in action. So here we go. Here's a troll coming at us, and you can see there one hit does about 25% damage to the troll. I guess it's going to be about 4 hits for us to kill this guy. Actually managed to stagger him there as well, and none of those were headshots. So a fairly powerful bow, as you would of course expect from something that is such a late game item. Now, if we grab out one of the variations here and go ahead and equip that, then you'll see that they do look very, very cool. I love the color of them. And they even have this glow effect. You can see on the floor there's a bit of green glowing around me. So that's very, very nice. But each of the new flame metal weapons has the potential to upgrade them to the gemstone variation. So I'm not going to go through every single one of them because they all do the same thing. All 3 attacks are the ones that you've already seen just a moment ago. But it is a very nice thing to have in the game. And I'm sure something that you guys will agree is a very nice addition to Valheim. So the new Ash Fang does a pierce of 82 compared to the Spine Snap at 72. That is, of course, 10 higher. We also have a new crossbow in the game. It is this one here, the Ripper, with the 3 variations of it, which is very cool. The current best in the game was obviously the Arbalest. That was the only one we had, and that was a PS of 200. This new one right here is 220, so a certain improvement right there. But then, of course, if we start to upgrade it with the different gems, we can get all kinds of benefits out of that as well. It comes with the new Charred Bolts, which do a PS of 82, so they're a new addition to the game. The Carapace Bolts right there did a PS of 72, so once again, just like the arrows, 10 higher than before. Now, we have a new mace in the game, and that is the Flame Metal Mace. Here it is right here. And you can see there it does a blunt of 135, and once again comes in the 3 variations. It was hard to find some good examples to compare this to, because we don't have like a black metal mace or a Carapace mace or anything like that. So the Iron Mace, for example, has a blunt of 55, so significantly different to this one here at 135. Then we have things like the Porcupine doing blunt and pierce damage, totaling 95 damage. And of course, we've got the Frostner, which is doing blunt, frost, and spirit damage. So, you know, we've got these different ones, but really the Flame Metal Mace is now going to be just the clear best mace in the game. But there will obviously still be benefits to using something like the Frostner, where it does the frost damage and stuff as well. We also have a nice new spear in the game. This is called the Splintner, again coming in the 3 variations. Now, the Carapace spear that we had before did a PS of 115, whereas the new one here, 135. So, yeah, quite a significant improvement, really. And if you're a spear player, I'm sure you enjoy playing with this new one. Now for the highlight of the update as far as I'm concerned, guys, which is swords, and specifically this one right here, the Drynwyn. Now, I'm going to talk about that one last because it needs its own little section where I explain how we get it and all that sort of stuff. But for now, let's have a look at some of the new additions to the game. For example, the Nidhogg sword. But this one right here, again, comes in the 3 upgradable magic weapon variations, and you can see right there it does a slash of 135. If we compare that to, for example, the black metal sword, that does a slash of 95. So obviously a very significant improvement. We also have the new 2-handed sword, which is the Slayer, again coming in the 3 variations. This one does a slash of 170, whereas the Crom, the previous 2-handed sword, does a slash of 150. So quite an improvement on that, 20 extra damage each time. But now, guys, the sword that I think is going to be the focal point of this update in terms of weapons, and that is the Drynwyn sword. And first of all, how amazing does this look? I mean, being able to run around your Valheim worlds with a sword that is constantly on fire, like even if it's on your back, I think that just looks really, really cool, and it just feels very Viking-y and just amazing. I don't know, I really love this sword. I'm sure you guys do too. Let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments, I'd love to know. But let's have a look at some of the stats of it. Join my Valheim server, see my videos before anyone else, watch me stream on Twitch, save 10% on your game servers, or buy merch. All these links in the video description. So we can see here a slash of 145 and a fire of 10. Putting its damage up to 155. That makes it slightly better than the Crom, but it's only 1-handed, whereas the Crom is 2-handed. So it's a real beast of a sword. What I love most about this sword, though, is it's going to be a real challenge to get it. We have to actually go around the world and find dungeons to find locations for the fragments that are required in order to craft it. And we even have to beat the new mini-boss Lord Rito in order to get that final fragment so that we're able to craft one of these. That's how difficult it is to make this sword. But I think having an endgame item like this in the game, which almost becomes a focal point of not quite completing the game, but just something that's really, really cool, is going to be something that we can all work towards in our worlds. That will take a long time and it'll be a big challenge, but a super fun one along the way. And it even looks great in an item stand. You can just have it as a decorational item hanging up on your wall, and it basically says, yep, I've basically completed the ASHLANDS. That's what you're kind of saying by having that on your wall. So this does go down as my favorite weapon of the new update. I'd love to know what you guys think about it. Do let me know down in the comments. Now, the very quick version on how we actually get the Drynwyn is we need to explore putrid holes. When we do so, they will occasionally have Vegvisors, which will give us the location of mysterious locations, they call them. And when we get to those, some of them will have the sword fragments. One of them will be the location of the new mini-boss, Lord Rito. When we kill Lord Rito, we do get that final Drynwyn fragment, and from there, obviously, we can then craft it up. Next, we're going to have a look at the new staffs of the game, and you might be wondering why this guy is poking his little head up above here. Well, this guy's is one of the new staffs. It's the Troll Staff, and currently, if we put it on an item stand, it kind of faces the wrong way. That's how it looks right there. I'm assuming that's just a bug, something that needs to be fixed, because obviously this looks way nicer when it's facing out like this, but it looks kind of funny hiding behind the wall there. First up, we have the Staff of Fracturing. If we go ahead and shoot that at a troll, for example, you'll see there it does the initial damage, and it also does fire damage to the troll too. So basically sets him on fire, and you've got that lingering burn damage. I mean, if you can hit him, you'll probably be a lot better at this than I'll be. But yeah, that's the idea of this one. You can see as well, when this lands on the floor, if we just shoot it down there, it actually shoots off these little embers that go around. So if you land on the floor near whatever you're trying to attack, it will definitely do the attack. So if we shoot just down there at his feet, we get to hit him, and then those embers will shoot out too. So it's kind of an interesting new weapon. Next up, we have the Staff of the Wild. This one does a poison of 20, and it does take 55 ITA every time we use it. So let's see this in action against a troll. If we shoot that at the troll, you can see right there, it does a bit of damage and stuff, but also shoots out these roots, and these roots are then going to attack that troll. And there we go, you see they're attacking it right now, and the troll is actually fighting back. So provides a bit of a distraction against the the troll from attacking you, and also attacks it at the same time. So that's pretty cool. Next up, we have the Dunder. You can see right here, if I shoot the troll with the Dunder, it does this lightning damage, and it actually takes time to reload the Dunder. It's almost like a magical crossbow where it has to be reloaded, and then we can shoot it off, obviously, once our ITA is high enough. And it actually takes ITA during the process of the shooting and the reloading. And last but certainly not least, we have the Troll Staff. And the best way to show you how this one works is just to do it. So we go ahead and we shoot down on the floor there. You'll see it took up a lot of my HP because this is a blood magic item. But look at this, guys. It brings in a summoned troll. Now, it's important to note this summoned troll will try to attack you. So as well as being this awesome epic thing that's going to attack other mobs, it will also attack you. So do be aware of that. You kind of need to fight it yourself as well. Now, some other things to mention. We have 2 new bombs in the game. We got the basalt bombs and also the smoke bombs. So if I equip a smoke bomb and just throw it down on the floor right here, you'll see it in action. As you might expect, it does indeed produce a bit of a smoke screen. Now, if we spawn in a charred archer and we throw down a smoke bomb on the floor, you'll see it doesn't reduce its line of sight of us. So that is something, just to answer a question you might have had. The smoke bomb can't be used to sort of make mobs not see where you're at. It just produces the smoke, but they still have tracking on you. If you hover over the smoke bomb, it does say everyone knows you can't breathe in the smoke. So if we go ahead and equip those and we throw a load down in an area just like this, that's like an enclosed area, and we just wait like a little bit of time for that smoke to take, you'll see that we do get the smoked effect, which comes up against us there up in the top right. So they're kind of an odd one, the smoke bombs. They don't really serve any useful purpose at the moment. Maybe pranking your friends by throwing them into their house and smoking them out, but not something that seems to be useful against mobs or anything like that. Now, the basalt bombs, in contrast, have a very good use to them, and the biggest one is to get us to the new flametal towers, where we can obviously mine the flametal. If we throw a basalt bomb into lava, you'll see that platforms will actually start to generate. There we go, they've come up against the lava right there, so we can parkour across and use them to jump across onto the new flametal ore towers. Now, in a recent patch they actually made these things last longer, so they'll actually stay here for much longer than they did before, but they don't last forever. After a little bit of time, these basalt tower things that we've spawned will actually sink back down into the lava, so do be careful about that. And there we go, they're slowly sinking back down right now, going back down into the lava, so that's, as I say, they do disappear. On top of that, we have some new bullets for the ballistas in the game. So if we go into the chest here, you can see that we have these right here, the flametal missiles, and they do a pierce of 140, knockback of 60. Before we had the black metal ones, which did a pierce of 120. So we do have an extra 20 pierce from these new missiles if we want to load them into our turrets. For a full Ashlands guide, click the video on screen now and subscribe if you'd like to see more Ashlands content.